At the beginning, the scene opened with a boy and a girl getting married. Kazu was thinking that he had gotten married in an online game called Black Plains. It was an open-world MMO with realistic graphics, an amazing online game where players could enjoy all sorts of roleplay. Kazu received a wedding gift. Rin, the girl, called his name and, with a smile, told him to be happy from then on. Kazu replied with an "ah," and Rin, slightly frustrated, asked if that was all he was going to say. Kazu thought about how this energetic blonde elf was Rin. They had met 4 years ago when Rin had said, while shaking, that her name was Rin and she was new there but hoped they could get along. Kazu had been paired up with Rin in a randomly grouped dungeon. Their relationship had started when Kazu began teaching Rin how to play since she was a beginner, and they had gotten to know each other through those little interactions. In their first year, Rin had asked Kazu if he would like to go to a dungeon with her that day. In their second year, she had enthusiastically asked what they were going to play that day. By the third year, she had laughingly said they should go fishing, and when Kazu said he wanted to go mining instead, Rin had insisted on going fishing. Through their daily interactions, Kazu and Rin had become close, and eventually became online best friends. Kazu thought that he only had one title left to do, and asked Rin if she would like to get married. Rin had happily agreed, and that was how they ended up getting married. Returning to the present, Rin said, "he," and threw the bouquet, which was caught by a girl who smiled and laughed. Rin then told Kazu that she loved him. Kazu thanked her and said they should play together as much as they could from then on. Rin said she had to go for the time being and would see Kazu later. Kazu told her to take care, and the game displayed a notification saying, "Rin-san has gone offline." After logging out, Kazu was lying on his bed and said that today had been a productive session. His phone buzzed with a message, and Kazu wondered if it was from Rin. It was indeed from Rin, who thanked him for the fantastic wedding that day and told him that from then on, they were husband and wife. Kazu replied that he was happy they were, then yawned, saying he had to go to school the next day and should get some sleep. He thought that the next thing he wanted to do was get back to mining. The scene then shifted to a school building, where Kazu was sitting and thinking that a new event might be about to start. A boy called out to him, asking if they had seen the new Star Manzu music video that had been posted the previous night. Another boy said that he had, and commented that Mizuki-san had been cute as usual. The first boy scolded him to lower his voice, but the other replied that since she was not there yet, it was fine though talking behind her back might be risky. At that moment, a girl walked in with no expression, catching the attention of the boys. Some of them whispered, teasing the others to share their opinions about the music video with her, but one refused. Mizuki Rinka went to her seat silently, and Kazu thought about how Star Manzu was an idol group formed by 5 high school girls who were currently in the spotlight. One of them, the genius idol Mizuki Rinka, was in his class. From the moment she had arrived at the school, everyone had been talking about her. Her exceptionally good looks, sharp expression, and cold attitude had captured everyone's attention. She was totally different from the rest of them, mere mortals. Some classmates discussed her, saying they didn't think they could get along with Mizuki-san because she spoke only the bare minimum and her expression never changed. They described her as more than cold, almost blizzard-like, and said she wasn't someone easy to approach. They concluded it was better to admire Mizuki-san from afar, and one classmate even mentioned pre-ordering her limited edition album as soon as possible. Kazu thought that if he were them, he wouldn't take his wallet anywhere near an MMO. A message notification appeared on Kazu's phone, and he wondered if it was from Rin. Rin had asked if he wanted to play together at 8 o'clock, and Kazu agreed. He put his head down and thought that he would nap until first period, deciding that playing with Rin sounded more fun than watching idols. Later, the scene showed Kazu at his house, sitting in front of his PC. He saw that there was maintenance scheduled until 8 and complained, saying he had wanted to do some mining before Rin arrived. Deciding to use the time, he thought he would look up information on the new event. He realized that it was what the guys in class had been talking about that morning. Since he had some time, Kazu decided to listen to the song once. As he listened, Kazu was surprised to find himself liking it more than he had expected. Thinking about it, he realized that Mizuki Rinka had a very beautiful voice. He decided to listen to a couple more songs, but ended up listening to all of them. Just then, his phone received a message from Rin saying she was online. Shocked, Kazu realized how late it was and apologized, saying he would be online soon. Logging in quickly, he looked for Rin and wondered if she was angry. He thought that he couldn't possibly tell her that he was late because he had been watching idol music videos. Rin called out to him, and Kazu turned to see her. Rin told him that he was late. Kazu apologized, and Rin grabbed his hand, smiling, and said they should go fishing. Kazu agreed, and the scene shifted to them fishing together. Rin enthusiastically said they should see how many they could catch that day. Kazu asked if she wasn't mad, and Rin replied that next time he was going to be late, he should call her because trust was mutual, they were a couple. After all, Kazu agreed, and Rin said that with that settled, she would still ask why he had been late. Kazu, tense, admitted that he had been watching idol music videos. Rin asked which idols, but Kazu reminded her that they had prohibited real-life subjects. Rin told him to ignore that rule just this once and asked which idols he liked. Kazu explained that it was Star Mainzu, that he had heard them for the first time that day, and that they were a lot better than he had expected. Among them, there was a girl named Mizuki Rinka, an exceptionally talented singer. He also mentioned that Mizuki Rinka was his classmate. Rin was shocked, and for 3 minutes, neither of them said anything. Kazu began to worry that he had said something he shouldn't have and, with a tense face, apologized for saying something weird, telling her to forget what he had just said. Rin, blushing, confessed that she was Mizuki Rinka. Kazu was confused and asked what Rin was saying, assuming she was joking. Rin then began listing specific details. She was in the 2nd year, class 3. Her homeroom teacher was Satu-sensei. Her seat was in the 2nd aisle from the window, in front of everyone, and in the corner of the blackboard, someone had drawn a star. She mentioned that yesterday Suzuki-kun had been absent because he was shocked after his confession was rejected, and lately, their math teacher Kimura-sensei had been acting strangely. Kazu was shocked and realized that everything Rin had just said was true. Rin asked who Kazu was. When she saw his reaction, she asked if he didn't believe her. Kazu quickly said that she was wrong, and that he sat behind everyone next to the window. Rin then asked if he was Ayanokouji Kazuto-kun, and Kazu confirmed that he was. Rin suddenly stood up and said she was sorry but had to go. Kazu called out to her, but the game showed a message saying, "Rin has gone offline." Kazu lay on his bed, wondering if Rin had been disappointed after finding out who he was. He felt tense, thinking that this might end up being the reason he would never get to play with Rin again. He told himself that he would not let that happen. For the past 4 years, Kazu had always taken it for granted that Rin would stay by his side. Remembering her sad face, he realized that he couldn't imagine life in the MMO without her. He called himself an idiot. Just then, his phone buzzed again with a notification. It was from Rin, asking if he would like to have lunch with her at school the next day. Shocked, Kazu sat up in bed and thought that it was a relief. It seemed like Rin didn't hate him. But then, as he processed the message, he realized that it meant Rin really was Mizuki Rinka. His face tensed as he tried to think logically, concluding that their personalities were totally different. Her game personality and her real-life personality were complete opposites. Kazu questioned how she had known his name and began to suspect that one of his classmates must be playing a trick on him. He thought that Mizuki-san would never in her life play MMOs. Lying back on his bed, he convinced himself that it was all just a joke. It had to be. Finally, Kazu sent a message telling Rin to prove that it was actually her. Rin then sent him her picture while blushing. Then the scene shifted to the school entrance, where Kazu's face looked tense, as he thought that he couldn't sleep at all after everything that had happened. As he walked inside, he wondered how Rin could possibly be Mizuki Rinka. He questioned if he would be able to invite her to play like he used to, but after that picture she had sent, he felt he had no choice but to believe her. While walking, Kazu overheard some guys saying that she was cute, and another one responding that maybe the picture was edited. Later, in the classroom, Kazu sat at his desk, still thinking about it. He convinced himself that the picture must have been edited or photoshopped, and therefore, there was still no confirmation that Rin was Mizuki-san. However, when Mizuki Rinka waved her hand at him, and he waved his hand back, Kazu thought that it was confirmed. The scene then shifted to the cafeteria, where Kazu and Mizuki Rinka were sitting together at a table. The students around them were whispering among themselves, thinking that the guy with her was unforgivable, and that they were so jealous because Mizuki-san was eating with a boy. Kazu, aware of the stares, thought that they were glaring daggers at them because the girl sitting in front of him was Mizuki Rinka. He found it strange having the idol he had been watching videos of last night right in front of him. As Kazu observed her smooth, white skin and her large eyes with a defined contour, he thought that seeing her again made him realize how very pretty she was. Mizuki Rinka then admitted that, even so, the truth was that she had been surprised that Kazu was Kazuto-kun. Kazu responded that he was also surprised, 100 times more than her. Mizuki Rinka then teased him, saying that calling himself Kazu because his name was Kazuto was a little too simple. Kazu replied that Mizuki-san was not one to be talking about that. Mizuki Rinka smiled and said that it looked like they really did get along after all. Kazu, flustered, agreed that it seemed so. He added that even so, it was surprising that they ended up as classmates. Mizuki Rinka said that maybe it was fate. Kazu then reminded her that they were married but only within the game. Mizuki Rinka's expression darkened, and she called him Kazuto-kun. She then stated that it had been an online marriage, so it was a pure love, wasn't it? The students around them thought that Kazu had just offended Mizuki-san. Mizuki Rinka continued by saying that her theory was that, on the internet, since one did not know who or what kind of person another was, people tended to reveal their heart and personality. Therefore, from what they wrote in chats, and how they cooperated in games, one could judge others based on the bare minimum without requiring extra information. Kazu responded that he saw her point. Mizuki Rinka, with a dead expression, added that in real life, many people approached her with ulterior motives, and on the internet, all the male players she had met changed their attitude the second they found out she was a girl. Kazu's face grew tense, as he said that it sounded problematic. Mizuki Rinka looked at him and said that only he, Kazuto-kun, had been pure and sincere. She said that he had cheered her up many times, even when she was going through a rough time in her idol career. Kazu then remembered that there had been a time when she was a little emotionally distraught. A flashback appeared in his mind, where he had shouted in excitement that something was tugging really hard and asked Rin for a hand, but the catch had gotten away. Rin had apologized, saying his name, but Kazu had stopped her, patting her head and telling her that there was nothing wrong with going at her own pace. Rin had cried and thanked him. Back in the present, Kazu thought that even though he had avoided asking her about it, he supposed it was due to her idol career. Mizuki Rinka said that if she hadn't met Kazu, she would have retired as an idol a while back. Kazu replied that she was exaggerating, but Mizuki Rinka insisted that she was not exaggerating. She said that because of all the emotional support Kazu had given her, simply by being himself, she had decided to marry him, Kazu. As Mizuki Rinka blushed and smiled, the students around them were shocked at the mention of the word marriage. Kazu, blushing as well, thought that he needed to calm down, reminding himself that she was talking about the game. Even so, he didn't think Mizuki-san would take MMOs so seriously, and he was glad she did. Mizuki Rinka then said that, in other words, she thought marriages in MMOs were very important and wondered if Kazu had a different opinion. Kazu said that he felt the same way, that marriage was also important in MMOs because it gave a title. Mizuki Rinka smiled with a chillingly sweet expression and said that it was nice that Kazuto-kun also thought this way. Kazu suddenly felt a cold shiver run down his spine and wondered why it had happened, or maybe it was just his imagination. Suddenly, someone called out loudly, saying that they had found Rin-chan, and Kazu immediately stiffened in fear. The students around them began thinking that the voice they had just heard sounded familiar. They wondered if the boy sitting with Rin-chan was her acquaintance, since they were sure they had heard that voice somewhere before. Kazu turned around to see who it was, and it turned out to be a girl. The girl introduced herself by saying that she was one of the members of Starmines, just like Rin-chan, and that her name was Kurumizaka Nana. She greeted him warmly, saying it was nice to meet him. Kazu thought about Kurumizaka Nana, recognizing her as a very cheerful girl and Starmines' center. He wondered if they had always gone to the same school. Nana then sat beside Rin and greeted her again. The students around them began thinking that the guy sitting there was after Nana-chan too, and that they would never forgive him. Nana then mentioned that Rin-chan's Kazu-kun might get mad at her for having lunch with another guy. Rin replied by saying that he was that Kazu. Kazu greeted Nana politely. Nana was shocked, and then with an excited expression, she exclaimed happily that he was the Kazu-kun. Her face leaned in very close to Kazu's, and Kazu, flustered, thought repeatedly that she was too close, too close, too close. Nana quickly pulled back, sat on her chair again, and said that she was so excited to finally meet Kazu-kun in the flesh. Kazu thought that he should be the one saying that, considering she was an actual idol. Nana then mentioned that she would love to know how Rin-chan acted online. Rin responded that it was not that different, but Kazu immediately thought that it was totally different. Nana said that she had thought Rin-chan would be a polar opposite online or something, and Kazu silently agreed with her, thinking that she was absolutely right. Kurumizaka. Rin made a poker face, and Nana suddenly turned to Kazu again and said seriously that she wanted to thank him. Kazu, surprised, asked why. Nana explained that it was for supporting Rin-chan all this time. She said that, truthfully, for a while following their debut, they hadn't been popular at all. Rin-chan had a stronger sense of responsibility than others, so she was more worried than anyone else. A flashback appeared in Kazu's mind. Nana had once called out to Rin-chan, who looked like she was about to fall. Nana had shouted at her, asking if she had been practicing without rest again, and told her that she didn't have to push herself that hard. Rin, exhausted, had replied that she didn't want to be the one holding everyone back and that she had to work harder. Nana had looked tense and thought to herself about what she should do. Later, at the school building, Nana had seen someone and thought that she should act natural. She had waved and started to call Rin-chan's name but noticed Rin smiling while looking fondly at her phone. Shocked, Nana had gone closer and startled Rin by calling her Rin-chu-wan. Rin had turned around, surprised, and exclaimed Nana's name, saying that she had almost scared her to death. Nana had asked what Rin was staring at so fondly and jokingly asked if it was a boyfriend. Rin, blushing, had replied that it was her husband. Nana had been shocked, and Rin had explained that they had gotten married in an online game. Nana had thought to herself in disbelief about an online game, while Rin had continued, saying that Kazu was someone who didn't ask questions but stayed by her side and cheered her on. Rin had said that Kazu made her feel like she could do her best every day, and that he was that kind of person. Then, realizing what she had just said, Rin had blushed even more and muttered to herself, asking what she was even saying. Nana had thought to herself, thanking Kazu-kun, because after that, Rin-chan had bounced back little by little, and that was when their popularity as a group had risen. The flashback ended, and Kazu thought that he hadn't known that Rin had gone through so much. Nana then said that was why she was grateful to Kazu-kun. Rin told her that she thought Nana had forgotten that Kazu was sitting right there. Nana laughed, and Rin, blushing, told her that she was embarrassing her. The students around them became flustered by Rin's expression. Nana then smiled and said that now that she thought about it, Rin-chan and Kazu-kun were married, and she was jealous of their romance. Kazu was shocked and quickly said that Kurumizaka-san shouldn't say that out loud, clarifying that they were married but only in game. The students around them started talking among themselves. Nana leaned in and whispered to Kazu that even so, they had gotten married because they liked each other, right? Kazu whispered back to Nana that the reason was that they got a title when they got married in the game. Nana, with a tense face, whispered again, asking if that meant he didn't like Rin-chan, right Kazu-kun? Kazu immediately said that of course he liked her, but only as a friend in an online game. Nana stayed silent for a moment and then softly said that, yes, it was as expected of Rin-chan. Rin then interrupted them, asking how long they were going to keep whispering to each other. Both Kazu and Nana were startled. Rin, blushing, added that they were too close. Nana teasingly told her that she was the one too close and that she shouldn't be jealous. Kazu thought in disbelief about the word jealous. He wondered if Mizuki-san was actually jealous over him. Something didn't feel right, and he thought that Mizuki-san and he had completely different understandings of this subject. Shocked, Kazu wondered if Mizuki-san liked him in real life as well. Then, with a plain expression while eating, he dismissed the thought, telling himself that there was no way. Rin was quietly watching him, and Nana, seeing that, clenched her fist and thought to herself that she couldn't leave things like this. Determined, she decided that she would make it so that Rin-chan and Kazu-kun got married. Nana then said that it was time for her to get back to her class. She stood up from her chair, and Kazu thought that Kurumizaka-san had way too much energy. Nana waved her hand cheerfully and left the cafeteria. Kazu got up from his chair as well, and said that they should also start heading back. Rin looked at him and asked if Kazuto-kun didn't want to play with her again that night. The scene then shifted to nighttime, where Kazu was fishing in the game. From behind, Rin called out to him, and Kazu turned, greeting her. Rin sat down beside him and said that they hadn't seen each other since lunch, right? Kazu agreed, saying that was right. Rin then said that Kazuto-kun wanted to thank him for today because she had a lot of fun. Kazu replied that he also had a lot of fun. Rin, with a bright expression, said that she was glad and admitted that she had actually been super nervous. Kazu asked if she had really been nervous and thought that she didn't seem nervous at all. Rin then shouted that, of course, she had been nervous because she had been about to meet Kazu-kun in person, so obviously, she would be nervous. Kazu thought that it felt like déjà vu and wondered if it shouldn't have been the video game nerd getting nervous about meeting a super popular idol. Rin then said that, besides, something had been bothering her. She had been afraid that Kazu might dislike the idea of meeting up in real life and had started worrying about the possibility of him hating idols and stuff. Kazu told her that he didn't care what kind of person she was in real life as long as she kept playing with him as she always had. When he looked at Rin's face, he noticed that she was about to cry. Rin then suddenly shouted Kazuto-kun's name and hugged him tightly. Kazu, startled, told her to watch out for the rod, but Rin held on to him, saying that she was glad she had revealed her true self to him, and that she was glad Kazuto-kun was a wonderful person. Kazu, flustered, told her to calm down and reminded her that it was getting late and that she was almost out of time. Rin agreed, saying that it really was getting late and that she had to go, but added that from now on, they could be together in real life, right? Kazu, confused, thought to himself, Rin then said goodnight to Kazuto-kun and logged off. Kazu sat quietly, thinking that once again, he felt a sudden chill creeping up on him. Then he noticed his fishing rod moving, caught a fish, and muttered, "Ah, well." The scene shifted to the school classroom, where Kazu was sitting at his desk. Rin entered the classroom, turned toward him, and waved her hand. Kazu waved back. Suddenly, two voices called out from behind him, saying, "Ayanokouji-kun." It was Tachibana and Seitu. Tachibana asked if Kazu wanted to explain what that was all about. Kazu, confused, asked what they meant. Tachibana shouted, asking about his relationship with Mizuki. The whole class looked at them with tense faces as Tachibana grabbed Kazu and dragged him outside, saying that in any case, he should come over there. At the school rooftop, Tachibana shouted that the whole school was talking about him and Mizuki-san. Seito confirmed it, saying that everyone had been staring at him. Kazu said that he hadn't noticed at all. Seitu then said that in any case, today they wouldn't let him go until he told them how he and Mizuki had started getting along. Kazu sighed and said that he understood but told them not to tell anyone. After some time passed, Kazu finished explaining and said, "And that's the story." Tachibana crossed his arms and said, "Fumu." Then, suddenly, Tachibana asked if he could hit Kazu. Kazu, confused, asked why. Tachibana, tearing up, shouted that Kazu's marriage partner in an MMO just happened to be Mizuki Rinka, and that he was so jealous, he exclaimed, asking what the odds were of something like that happening. Seitu calmly said that by his calculations, the odds were 0.0001%. Kazu, in shock, thought that these two were unbelievable. Seito then added that, however, by his calculations, there was a 99% probability that Mizuki Rinka would become a target for harassment. He explained that since Mizuki Rinka was a popular idol, her getting along with a specific guy would spread all over the internet in a flash. Tachibana agreed, saying that was true, and that if he found out his Oshi had a partner, he would definitely stop being their fan. Kazu, with a tense face, said, "Eh?" and asked if people would really stop being fans just because of something like that. He added that, besides, it wasn't like he was going out with Mizuki-san. Tachibana suddenly grabbed Kazu by the collar and shouted his name, saying that he didn't seem to understand. Tachibana warned him not to underestimate idol otakus, and explained that the simple fact that an Oshi was getting along well with someone specific from the opposite sex was enough to make fans lose faith, even if they weren't hardcore ones. He said that star minds were seen as pure and innocent, so any connection to a guy would create a huge scandal among fans. The scene then shifted to Kazu's house. Kazu was lying on his bed, muttering that Tachibana talked too much and that those guys scared him. He wondered if they were exaggerating. He remembered Tachibana's words telling him to check a site when he got home. He sighed, closed his eyes for a moment, then sat up on his bed and looked at his phone, saying that he might as well check just to make sure. He searched for Star Minds thread #on7 discussing Mizuki Rinka and was surprised, saying that he hadn't known such threads existed. Then, with a tense face, he said, "Eh?" as he scrolled through the comments. He saw messages like "She's the most beautiful in the world," "I'll make her happy," and there were many similar ones. Kazu thought, shocked, wondering what this was. Then he saw another comment saying, "The other day she was having lunch with a boy. Could it be her boyfriend?" Followed by, "You go to her school. You're dreaming, Kek." Kazu realized with a tense expression that the situation was a lot more serious than he had thought. Suddenly, a message notification appeared on his phone, startling him. He exclaimed in surprise, "Yuwa," and saw that it was a message from Rin Mizuki-sen. The message said, "Do you want to eat together again tomorrow?" Kazu thought to himself that if they kept getting along well in real life and if Star Minds lost its popularity, Rin would suffer. He hated to think that, but it worried him. He looked again at the message that said, "You want to eat together again tomorrow," and replied, "I'm sorry, I want to study for tomorrow's exam during lunch." Rin responded, "I see, next time, then." Kazu thought to himself that he was sorry, Mizuki-san, and said aloud that it was for her own good. The scene then shifted to Rin's room, where Rin was lying on her bed, holding a doll close to her chest. With a soft and lonely voice, Rin called out, "Kazuto-kun, Kazuto-kun, I miss you, Kazuto-kun," while clutching the doll tightly.